The German who ordered me to wait guided me to a high ranking officer. Showing him my passport, said, "This woman claims to be a Russian, but one of the Ukrainian policemen knows her to be a Jewish woman." The officer examined my passport for a long time and in a harsh tone said, "Dina is not a Russian name. You are Jewish. Take her away." The policeman ordered me to undress and pushed me towards a hole where a new group was awaiting their destiny. But before shots were fired, probably from great fear, I jumped into the hole on top of the dead bodies. In the beginning, I could not realize what was going on, who I am. How did I reach the hole? I thought that I lost my senses, but when a new wave of human bodies started to fall down into the hole, I suddenly understood the whole situation with sharp clarity. I started to examine my legs, my arms, my entire body, just to make sure that I was not wounded at all, and I remained motionless, like a dead person. I was surrounded by dead and gravely wounded people when I suddenly heard a baby's cries, "Mamochka." It sounded like my own little daughter, and I cried bitterly, not able to move. I still heard from time to time machine guns and bodies falling on top of the other. I tried with all my force to push aside the fallen corpses to have enough air to breathe, but doing this at long intervals, not to be noticed by the policemen standing outside the large hole. Then, in time, everything stopped, and there was absolute silence. The Germans were checking the hole, shooting from time to time when they noticed some movement, killing the badly wounded but still alive victims. On top of me was a body of a man, and although he was very heavy, I somehow supported him till the Germans passed this part of the big hole. Then suddenly I saw the earth falling down around me. I was buried alive. I closed my eyes, holding my arms high to keep the air coming. When it became absolutely silent, dead silent, I brushed away the sand from my eyes and my body, and with all my force started to climb from the huge hole. I was among thousands and thousands of inert corpses, and I became terribly frightened. Here and there the earth was moving. Some of the buried were still alive. I was looking at myself, and I was terrified. My thin nightgown, which covered my naked body, was red from blood. I tried to get up, but was very weak. I started talking to myself. "Dina, get up, run away, run to your children." And with all my might, I started to run again in the direction of a huge mountain surrounding the ravine. Suddenly, I felt some movement behind me and was frightened. But after a while, I turned around and heard, "Tentka, do not be afraid. They call me Ferna. My family's name is Schneiderman. I am 11 years old. Take me with you. I am very much afraid of darkness." I came near to the boy. I embraced him wholeheartedly and cried softly, and the boy pleaded, "Do not cry, Tentka." We started to move in deep silence, trying to reach the end of the ravine, helping each other, finally reaching the very top of the huge hole. But when we started to run, we heard shots again, and we fell to the ground, afraid to say a word. After a long while, I embraced the boy, asking him how he felt, but he did not answer. In the deep darkness, I started to check his arms, legs, his head. He was motionless. There was no sign of life. I lifted myself to look at his face. He was lying with his eyes closed. I tried a few times to open his eyes. Then I understood that the boy was dead. Most probably the shot I heard a few minutes earlier had finished his life forever. I kissed the cold little boy, lifted myself with all my strength, and started to run as fast as I could, leaving behind me this horrible place called Babi. I permitted myself to stand straight to my full height, and suddenly I noticed in the darkness a little house. A cold chill penetrated my whole body as I overcame my fear, and I silently approached the window, knocking delicately. A half sleepy voice of a woman asked, "Who is there? What do you want?" I answered, "I just ran away from Babi Yar." And I heard an angry voice, "Go away immediately. I do not want to know you." And I went running as fast as I could. All right, using these recordings, answer the questions on the next page.